Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. So I've mentioned a bunch of times wanting to tell this story to you guys, and so for today's video, I'm finally going to tell you guys the story about how I met my boyfriend. I'm also going to go into kind of how we started dating and my parents' reaction to me telling them that I'm dating someone 9 years older than me. I have been together with Harris now for almost 3 years. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you do, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and also give it a thumbs up if you enjoy my storytelling. And if you haven't done so already, head on down there and subscribe. I appreciate all the love and support that I can get. And I guess with all that being said, let's get into the video. So I met Harris my senior year of high school. It was March of 2016. And the day that I met Harris was actually the day that I was going into the city to see Fall Out Boy at Madison Square Garden. Me and a bunch of my friends had got tickets to go see them. So it was a Friday, I'm pretty sure, because I remember leaving school early. I have 9 periods in a day, and on this day I left around 7th period to go get ready for the concert, and then we were all going to my friend Jessica's house to be able to carpool and all get to the train station together. So we all got to Jessica's, and then we decided to go to 7-Eleven to get big gulps so we can put alcohol in them so we can drink on the train on the way to the concert. So we did that, and then we headed to the train station. And now the train station had an inside waiting area and an outside waiting area. And so we bought our tickets and we sat in the inside waiting area. We were Snapchatting, enjoying ourselves, and time kind of got away from us, and all of a sudden we heard over the loudspeaker that our train was at the track, so we kind of had to rush up there really quickly to make the train. So we got on the nearest car that was open, and there were no seats. So keep in mind, we almost missed our train. So we decided to walk up like 4 or 5 carts to be able to find the car that had the 3 seats facing each other, like the 6 seats facing each other. So on the Long Island Railroad, there's like 3 seats and 3 seats that face each other. Then there's the aisle, and then there's another set of 3 seats and 3 seats that face each other. And since there was like 8 or 9 of us, we wanted to get those seats so we would all be able to hang out and pregame together on the way to the concert. So we walk 4 or 5 cars up, and we find those open seats, and we all sit down and we're hanging out. And my friend Justine had put her big gulp on the ground, like kind of in the aisle area, and somehow she kicked over her big gulp. And if you don't know, big gulps are big. There's a lot of contents in it, let's say. She didn't really drink that much so far, and so all of the contents of her big gulp starts draining down like the aisle going towards the back of the car that we were in. So everything is making its way down the car, and some guy starts to approach us, and he looked significantly older, so I thought he was going to like yell at us or reprimand us, or he was like an undercover cop. Like, these were the things that were going through my mind. So this guy approached us, and first he asked, "How old are you?" And so obviously I lie about my age to make myself seem like I'm of age and I'm older and all this stuff. So I tell him that I'm 22. And the next sentence that he says is, honestly now looking back, a little bit of a strange sentence to say, but he basically was like, "I have a friend that would be interested in someone your age." So me, liquid courage in my system, had some balls. I was like, "What's his Instagram? Like, give me his information. I'll talk to him." So a little bit of background, I stopped talking to this guy TJ in February of 2016, and between February and March, like between when we stopped talking and the concert, I was like trying to get back together with my ex-boyfriend, and it was kind of the relationship where like I broke it off with him originally. We dated for 3 years, but then after that I kind of regretted it. So anytime we weren't talking to somebody else, we were trying to get back together, and it just wasn't working. And this kid basically told me like, we need to just stop, and I was very upset about it. So I was in like the fuck you mode. I'm gonna like talk to guys, or like show you, you know, I could get someone else, like all this kind of stuff. So I just had like the courage in me to, you know, get Harris's Instagram from this guy. The guy gives me Harris's Instagram information and goes and gets his other friend, and they come and they sit in the row behind us. And I'm on Harris's Instagram, I'm looking at him, like he's super cute. So obviously I DM him, and I like asked the guy like how he knew who Harris was, and basically he said Harris was 24 years old, from Jericho, and that he knew who he was because he was his camp counselor back in the day. Because obviously these guys looked a lot older. They were in their like 30s, I would say. So they said Harris was 24, and he was a camp counselor. So right off the bat, Harris thought I was 22 and I thought he was 24. So I started DMing him, you know, had conversation with him, kept it really light because stranger danger. I didn't ever talk to anyone outside of my high school or date anyone outside my high school. So he was like a complete stranger to me. So I kept it very light. So the concert was over and everything, and I got home, and the next day I kind of realized that I was like talking to this guy that I didn't really know, and I was super nervous and, you know, freaked out a little bit, and I blocked him. But then either later on that day or the next day, my friend like asked me like, whatever happened to that kid that you were talking to, like the one who was friends with the kids from the train. So I unblocked him to show them the DM conversation, and then I kind of just like fell back into DMing him. Like I don't really remember how I got back into talking to him, but I basically started talking to him again like that weekend or the weekend after I originally reached out to him. So I basically was like telling Harris a whole bunch of lies, like I had a job that I didn't actually have so I didn't have to hang out with him, that I took classes, like anything in the books to like get me not to have to hang out with him, because I was so nervous to hang out with someone that I didn't know. And I made it very clear to him that I was nervous, that I had no idea who he was, because I told him he was an axe murderer, he was a serial killer, he was gonna kidnap me, like kept saying all these things that A, either would turn him off from talking to me, or B, would make it so we couldn't hang out or we couldn't see each other. But after about a week of us DMing back and forth, I realized that he was kind of a nice kid. He didn't really raise any red flags for me. Like he kind of reassured me on all those things. So I did wind up giving him my number and we made plans to hang out. But again, I was nervous, stranger danger. So I did not let him pick me up from my house. I was like, murder me, but save my family. If things go downhill and you do wind up kidnapping me or something, at least you don't know where the rest of my family lives. So I had him pick me up from the public library that was down the block from my house. I think I told my mom that I was going to my friend Casey's house, that I was walking there and I was gonna meet her somewhere. So that's how I got out of the house, and I dropped my pin to a whole bunch of friends. It was like, if I go missing or if my pin starts going far away, like call the cops, I've actually been kidnapped. But Harris picked me up and we wind up having a really good first date. We just went to Cold Stone and got ice cream and like hung out in his car and talked, but we kind of like hit it off after that and we started seeing more and more of each other. So, you know, girls, I know you can attest to this. I got a little nosy the more I talked to him and the more I got to know him, the more I wanted to get to know, like I wanted to inquire more, but I didn't want to ask him questions. So I basically found his mom's Instagram and stalked it. So I went on his tagged photos, went all the way down, found a picture that his mom tagged him in, and I found her Instagram, and I basically just started scrolling down, stalking her Instagram. And I found a picture that said from 100 and something weeks ago, and in the photo it was Harris behind a birthday cake, and on the birthday cake was a 2-5 candle, like happy 25th birthday Harris was what this post was. So in that moment I knew, okay, now he's actually, like I knew then that he was lying about his age, because the entire time I believed that he was 24 years old. So I called him out. I said, I know you're not 24. I know you're older than you say you are. I did the math. I realized that he was like 27 years old, and I kind of, you know, confronted him about it. But in the same breath, I had to explain that I wasn't 22, that I was actually 18 and in high school still. So we found out each other's real ages. We figured out that we were 9 years apart. But to me, that didn't really stop anything, because I felt like I built this connection with him already, and I didn't want our ages to get in the way of that. But our relationship was kind of built on lies. If you really think about it, we didn't know anything about each other's ages. And I also found out through figuring out his age that he went to high school with the two kids that approached us on the train. Obviously they were a lot older, Harris was a lot older, and they went to high school, so the kid wasn't Harris's camp counselor from back in the day. So I figured that out. So at this point I realized that I did like him and I wanted to continue the relationship with him, but I had to figure out a way to tell my parents that I was dating someone 9 years older than me. I honestly was extremely nervous to tell my mom. Like I just didn't know how she was going to handle it, and I thought she was going to be very upset with me. So I remember I was sitting in my room and I texted her saying, like, I have something that we need to talk about. Can I come downstairs and talk to you? And so I went downstairs and both my mom and my stepmom were sitting in their bedroom, and I basically sat on the bed and I was like, so I've been seeing someone. And my mom was like, okay. And I'm like, and he's older. He doesn't go to my high school. Like, she was like, okay, how much older? And I basically was like, 9 years older. And she was just like, and I was honestly shocked. I did not think that they were going to respond that well to it, but my mom basically said, like, you're 18, even if I told you you could not see this guy, you still could go see him. If you have a connection with him, age is but a number. So my parents were actually very supportive from the beginning, and obviously Harris's parents don't care about the age gap because I basically live with him now and we have amazing relationships, like me and his mother and me and his father and me and the rest of his family. Like, we have great relationships, so I don't think age was ever an issue for my family or his family. But you know, it does come up in conversation when I meet people and I say, oh, I have a boyfriend. And especially at school, people say like, does he go here? And I'm like, no, he's older. And then they're like, oh, how old? And now in November, this past November, he turned 30. So I'm like, he's 30. So it obviously is a weird thing to say out loud. Sometimes there are some people that give me weird looks or weird faces when I tell them that I'm dating someone who's 30. In the same respect, if you know our relationship, you know it works well, kind of, that he's so much older, because I don't know, but to me and to what other people tell me, like, I don't act like a child and he doesn't act like a super old adult. Like, he doesn't even look 30. That's why it was so believable for me when I was told he was 24. Like, he doesn't look 30. Like, it just works. So basically that is the story of how I met my boyfriend. Then I'm on the train going to Fall Out Boy through a friend from Instagram, said he was an axe murderer, blocked him, unblocked him, hung out with him, stalked his mom's Instagram to figure out his real age. But hey, it all worked out. So I hope you guys enjoyed the story of how me and my boyfriend met. If you guys want to see a little bit more about our dynamic or see us together, you should all check out my weekend vlogs. I vlog every weekend when I go home to see him, and he's also flying out to Florida towards the end of the week to see my family, so I will be vlogging that. So like I said in the beginning of the video, head on down there and subscribe, and also hit that little bell if you guys want to be notified every time I post, because I am posting a little bit off schedule now that I'm on spring break. I'm on spring break visiting my parents in Florida, if you guys didn't know. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and with all that being said, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.